Welcome to ABAP This is the first part of the tutorial about how to create a selection screen for our programs. In this part I will only show you how to use parameters. So from the beginning, why we need the parameters. So in fact you do not have to use any selection screen, so you can directly put your coding in ABAP and select proper data, but only at the beginning you will be happy from that. So if you will allow the users to change the selection criteria for your program and to get the different results based on that, and then you will not have to create each time a new program if the users will need a new selection criteria for the same select statement or the same data which you use in the program. Also, and the advantage of this is that you will have less work. So once you do it, you do not have to come back to this. If the users will not need new fields or new calculations inside the program. I know that at the beginning it's something that you think that it's not must-have, but in fact it will change soon when you will create some programs, and then when the users will come back to you that the program is fine, but they also want to get some other data in the same way from the same program. So let's start with the parameter statement. If you go to the F1 function, then you can find that there is a lot of additions to that statement, but you can also use it without any, and this is the case of our first example. So I've put the parameter statement and then its name p_name, and in this case SOP will assign the type of one character field to that parameters, and if we run it, then you will see we got here its name and the input field for one character. This kind of parameters we will not use so often, as usually we have to put the proper type directly on the selection screen, but you should know that you can use it. The next example of the parameters which I want to show you is a checkbox parameter. Here you also do not have to have the typing, as checkbox should be always the one character field, but as we add this addition, it will be displayed a little bit differently. So we have the pname with the one character field input, and here pname1 with the checkbox which we can mark or not. This will allow us when you create the programs to put some additional functions, for example show only change lines, or for example give me put this program in test mode. So the checkbox addition just change the display of the parameter. If you go to the debug mode, then you will see that, maybe I will show you. I'll put the breakpoint, and then if you will select the parameter, the checkbox, then in the debug mode, if you go to the value, you will have the X value here. So you can have only a space or empty or X value. So this will allow you to give you a possibility to check if user want to the program to act in one or other way. This is a very helpful addition and used very often. And the next addition is radio button. So I guess you've seen radio buttons in standard SAP programs, even in older languages. It's also available here on the selection screen. But if you use the radio button addition, then you need to have at least 2 parameters of that kind. So because one parameter with the radio button makes no sense at all. So I will just subcomment these lines. So I will put 2 new parameters, a radio button kind, with the group RP1. So this is the group for the radio button, because you can have more than one radio button groups. Each radio button group it's treated separately by SAP. This means that each group can have only one value set. So for example, when you create 3 fields in first group and 3 fields in the second one, then you can select one of the 3 fields from the first group and one of 3 fields from the second one. So that's why you need the group addition also. In this case I also do not put any typing, because also radio buttons one character fields, and same like checkboxes, they only get the values empty or X. I will now go to and show you how it works. Now I have 2 new parameters, so I can select only one of them. So if in case we will have the checkboxes, so we can as many checkboxes we want, but then each of them can be selected. Of course, if we do not program it differently after the user command, but in default we can always select all checkboxes, but for the radio buttons we can only select one of one group. And this is also a nice option when you create the programs, because you can prepare one selection screen for your program, but then on the base on the options with the user will select, you can make it act differently. For example, you can make the radio button for download, upload function, for example, and then if the user will select download function, then you will allow him to display data and to download them to PC, and when you select upload data, then you will call the function to read the file from PC and to upload the data to SAP directly. So this is also often used addition to parameters. And so all of these parameters were without any typing, but we can also directly say which kind of parameter is it. So then we will not have problems when we will try to use this parameter in our functions or in our select statement. So I'll prepare the p carried parameter with the type from the tables car and car ID element, and you will see that as we get the parameter on the screen, it directly gets all the characteristics and properties from this field, from this table. So we get the F4 help, so the match code, which we can use to fill this field. We get the length of the field, and this type of the data, so it's 3 character fields which we can put here. This is most common used when you use the parameters, so you rather put the type if you do not use the checkbox or already a button type, and you don't have to directly put the typing in the selection screen coding. You can also make it more dynamic, so depending on some options you can make the same parameter work differently, has a different type, and to use this functionality then you will have to declare the variable which will contain the parameter name, the kind of parameter in fact, and then during the declaration of the parameter you should use a like statement, and in the brackets you should put the parameter, the variable name which contains the name of the type of the parameter. Then in the initialization event you should put the into the variable the name of the type for these parameters. I will use sFlight connection ID, so connect, and if you see, it directly get the description from the dictionary field, its type, if each match code. So, and if I would change to car ID, so carrier ID, without changing here anything, then I have the airline code and the airline match code. How it depends if you need it or not, then you can declare dynamic parameters also. And usually when you create a report or programs you may not need that, but it's good to know that options that you have. You can also, when you create the parameters, you can also check if unneeded entries are in the database, but to use the addition value check, which allows you to check if proper values are written into the database, you need to use the dictionary type, which use the domain which has the fixed values or which has a help check, the table check inside, and because you know the case it will do nothing. So in our example I use the currency field for the table scar, and if we will check it, then you'll see that okay, we have few currencies which we put on the screen, and if I will put any other and press enter, we'll get the message that the entry does not exist in the help table, and it's always connected to the dictionary field which is put as a type of the field. So it can happen then from one of the entry help check here. So the check table of the dictionary field is written here, and if it's not in this table then we cannot use it in our program. This will make that the users are not able to put any entries they want. Make sure that you do not have to create an error handling for the entries that do not supposed to be a field here. Okay. In this case, when you have the value check on the data element, then it's always obligatory. But it can happen that it can always also have an empty value, and in this case that you do not want to allow that users can enter the empty value, or they do not enter any value at all, then you should put the obligatorily addition to the parameter statement. And in this case, for this parameter, user will have to put the value if they want to continue. So we have our new parameter. It's the same like this one, the same type, but here the value is not needed. But this one is obligatory. You can see here a small checkbox inside the field, inside the input field. This means that this field is obligatory to fill. So if I will try to run it, will get the message, fill in all required entry fields. Then I will choose one of the entries. Now it's saying that the currency does not exist. I will check one also. Okay, and then we can continue. We can also make the parameter to be hidden for the users. This is used sometimes if you submit your program from other programs and you want to have some other possibilities more than the users, for example, to make it in test mode or in the edit mode, or to just to say to the program that okay, it was called externally or something like that. Then you can make the parameter as hidden, and to do that you should use the no display addition. And if you can now see, then if I will run it, no new parameter appeal, although it's declared. It's called p_carry2 and it's not displayed. But this field can be still used inside our coding, so we can put the value here in our coding and we can read the value from it. And if you will submit the program from other one, then you can also use these parameters to pass some values here, and this is really something nice if you do not want to show everything for the users, or you want to hide something from them, but for yourself or for your colleagues which will create other repos which will call yo, then it's nice to use this function. Okay, now let's go to the memory ID addition. This addition will allow us to get the values for our selection screen fields directly from ABAP memory. I guess you've noticed that sometimes when you run the standard SAP programs, then you already have directly filled the fields on the selection screen. For example, when you create a purchase order and then you go to transaction 2, which is selecting some purchase orders data, then you're already seeing the purchase order number which you create just before. And to use this function, then you have to add the addition memory ID to your parameter declaration, and also add the memory ID name. You can find it in F1 help for the field which you need, or you can also find it in table tpara. So you can use one of these two ways to get the correct ID for your memory. You can also create some new ones in the table tpara, but usually you will not have to do this, because almost all fields are there already. So in this case, let's go to display of our program. I will just generate it. Okay, we have our field here in which I put the memory ID. Previously there was no data for this memory ID, but I will put some. I will have to fill some also obligatory fields which I used before, and then I'll use AA as character ID here. Okay, I'll run it. Let's go to debug mode. I will come back to from the screen. I will run it once again, and you'll see that we have directly filled the same value as we used before. And this is not stored by program, but it's stored per memory, so per user, in fact. And so if you use the same memory ID in other program, and you will call the second one, then you will get the address from the new program directly. This is a very nice function. And when you will use the string parameters, then you will have to put some default value of the length of the field, because in other case then you get a really long field in which you could put some data, and this is not so nice to handling. So I'll declare the bstring1 parameter with type string and visible length 15. This means that only 15 characters will be visible on the screen, but we can put as many as we want there. I will also use the default value and the default addition, which will cause that each time we will call the program, this field will be directly filled with the AAA string. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. You can see P1 string is 15 characters long. I will put some additional characters here. Now we go to the hint, but we can put more, and there is no problem with that because it's string type, but only the visibility of this field is limited to 50 characters. So if we fill everything we need and we go to the debugger, we will see that all these characters are found here, and they are in the uppercase mode, and this is standard way that ACP do. But if you want to make it on lowercase, so that we want to allow user put in uppercase, lowercase, and then we want to store the data as the user wrote, then we have to add also another addition, which is lowercase. And now you will see the differences. So you can directly see that the font is different, but not only this, but also when you go to the background and go to the parameter values, you can see that the string 2, which has the addition lowercase, is in lowercase, and the first one without this addition is directly converted to uppercase, and you'll have to think about it if you need that or not when you create your programs. And the next addition which I want to show you is a modif ID. modif ID, it's a modify group ID. The ID of it's also 3 characters long as memory ID, but this one you declare in each program separately, so it's not configured anywhere in any table. So for example, I say this is field from the group 1, and what do we need it for? This is needed when you want to make the fields displayed a little bit differently than like the others. For example, you can make them that they have different color, or you can make them display only. But making the addition makes nothing, only you assign the field to the group, but then in each output of the screen you have to do something with that field. So I have prepared here a loop on the screen which takes place on each output on our selection screen. So we do the loop on the screen, and then if we find our group, it has to be always in uppercase. Then I change the color to intensified. So you will see now it has a different color of the name of the parameter, and also the input field has different color. The rest is the same like before. Without this addition, without this loop, it looks the same like the previous fields. So I'm commenting it so you can see the difference, and I will show you other fields. The next addition which I will show you is a listbox parameter. The listbox allows you to prepare some drop-down parameters on the screen. So if you want to do that, you have to declare it with some type, and then put addition as listbox. You have to always put the additional visible length, because in that case it will not only show the name of the parameter, but also the description, so the name of the value. And in this case I also put the modification ID which is the same like in the previous parameter, so I will have already 2 fields in that group. And if you just put it like that, and you go to the selection screen, and you will see that this field is empty, so you do not have any options to select for that list box. And to be able to get some values there in the initialization event, you have to fill the list boxes. So I have prepared the functions to do so. I will comment it now. In these functions you have to put the name of the parameter and some key values there. You can also read it from database and then put it here. So as a key value is a value which you will use in database, and the description is the description of the value, and that's all. And then you have to use the function vrm set values, put the name here and the values which you want to display. So now when I run the screen, I get directly all the fields which I put there on the selection screen, so I can use one of them. And even if this is displayed like key2, text of key2, then after we go to debug mode, you will see that only key2 is the value of the parameter. So only the key field is passed to the parameter value. Okay, so you're now able to show the drop down on the screen, but if you want that after you change the value of this drop down and then something happened on the screen, then you can use the addition user command and put the command name after. You are free to put any name you want. Of course, the length of the user command name should be maximum as in type CUCOM, and then at the selection screen event you have to check if the CUCOM is like your user command on the drag box, and then I prepare the small check if you have the same values in the pname 5 and the pname 4. Then I set the cursor of the in ABAP to field pname 4, and I set a warning message that pname 5 should be different than pname 4. And let's look like how it works. I'll put some fields here. I choose pname 4 as a key 2, and then I choose the same for pname 5, and directly I get pname 4 should be different than pname 5. If I would change it to key 3, it changed nothing. I can now change it to key 2, nothing happens because we do not have any user command assigned to the change of this value. But if we change now the pname 5, again the same value as pname 4, then we get our function is working, so we get the error message on the screen. The user command you can use also with the checkboxes or radio buttons. So when you change the checkboxes, you can do something on the screen also. So it's nice to have that function. And the last addition which I want to show you today is the matchcut object. Usually when you do the direct typing from the dictionary for your parameters, then you receive the matchcut objects from this data element which is assigned to your parameter. Sometimes happening that you have to declare your own parameter, but you want to use the matchcut which is already in dictionary, so you do not do the typing from the dictionary but only the type of the or you use it typing from dictionary, but it has no matchcut object assigned to it. So then you can use the matchcut object addition and then the matchcut object name when declaring the parameter, and then you can use its help directly on the screen. So now I have the pname 6 parameters, which is 2 characters long, and has matchcut help, which is from the standard help used for the country name or language. If I will get rid of that, then sorry, if I will get rid of that, then I will not get any matchcut and I can put any 2 characters I want. But if I will uncomment once again, and you see that now I get the match code and I can select the proper entries from the database which I want that the user can put here. Okay, so that was the first part of my tutorial about the selection screen. So we focus on the parameters. This code which you can see on the screen is available on my site abapblog.com as a plain text or also as a NAC file which you can import with sublink to your system, so you can test a little bit, so you can make some modification and use it after. In the next parts I will try to explain you how to use the select options and also how to work with the user comments and modify ID. So I will show you how to make your selection screen more dynamic. But for today it's over, and thanks for listening, and hope I didn't make too many mistakes. Bye.